Hey friends, my name is Mitch and today we're doing Saipan the Bloody Rock. Now my Saipan is misprinted, so I don't have a lot of the chits that I need. So we're going to take a little imaginary tour of Saipan the Bloody Rock with some replacement chits, because Compass Games is kindly sending me replacements. However, I'm not very patient, so I want to play the game right now because I bought it. So today we're doing scenario 1 called the Shattered Jewels, probably a pun intended. This is in the early morning hours of July 6th, so we are on July 6th, and I assume we are 0500 because it says the American player might not use any heroes before the 0700. So early morning before 0700 leaves me with 0500. So I am refilming this because I made quite a few mistakes before, but I think we're good now. So you'll still see some mistakes. It's a learn through. And we have 2 dice. We have one for the Americans and one for the Japanese. Now, like GTS, this is a chit pool system, but you have this one chit which basically activates all of the Japanese available to you at the start of this scenario. So the Japanese are in the Gyokusai position, which is basically a column mode, and they are going to charge us. So they're in column mode, and they are going to charge in, and if they end up the charge adjacent to us, they will flip over from Gyokusai to a Banzai assault. And that is definitely going to happen here. Now, remember in this game you have opportunity fire, which is good for the Americans because we have quite a few support weapons, as well as ample opportunity to opportunity fire on the Japanese. So the first move in the Gyokusai or column mode, by the way, there's 2 modes of chits. There's column mode, which basically means that you're running fast, you're moving quickly. So as you can see, you have no offense really, but you have a lot of movement. At the lower right, there's your movement. So you have 5 movement. On the other side, this is no for movement. That basically means that you are you still have no movement, but your attack power will increase. This is probably a bad example. That's a bad example as well. So let's use this one. So they have 3 column mode. They have 3 attack with 5 movement, and in the prepared state they have 4 attack with no movement. So being prepared on the prepared side is going to be much more beneficial to them than column mode. In addition, if you're prepared, you get a lot of additional benefits, like you could do concentrated fire and all sorts of other things from the rule book. So we'll go from the rule book rules here and start. So we have the infantry coming in. So this guy's obviously going to move and he's going to attack, let's say this guy here. So he's Gyokusai, which obviously means, again, he's going to charge in. Now notice his defense is +3 defense, which is quite good, and that is nice for a defensive. But since he moved out of this to here, and I have a line of fire, now notice I do have blocking terrain because of this steep slope. However, because since he's adjacent to me, I do believe that I can shoot at him. Now at the bottom of my stack I do have foxholes, which gives me a -1 on their fire modifier, as well as I have no U.S. entry on this one and this one right here. So he left the no U.S. entry behind and he is attacking. So let's roll some opportunity fire. Now this game is unusual because you have a fire rating or like a fire power, and everything is sort of basically revolves around that. So we are using the examples of fire actions right here, which is fire rating modifiers, and that will give you a fire rating, and then you roll a dice and you compare that to your fire rating. So let's do that. Here we have the opportunity fire, which is right over here. with 8.6. So opportunity fire is triggered when a unit leaves a hex, which is what he's doing now. And we have a nice opportunity fire example here. It's basically direct fire, but even though it's not your turn. So now we need to figure out our fire modifier. So we're going to do that by looking at all our different units. So let's quickly determine our firepower. We have a weapon that is attached, and that is white border, which means that we get to choose between either armor piercing or high explosive. And I'm definitely going to go for high explosive. And we get to choose because we have different fire ratings in our deployed state here. So this is small arms, red. And because we are deployed, then we get to use not only this, but we get to add any other fire modifiers in the hex. So that's 4 small arms plus 4 small arms plus 2, which is 10 total firepower. Now normally we'd use the leader, however this leader doesn't come into play as per the rules of the setup until 0700. So the next round we can use him. So we just have 4, 4, and 2, which is going to give us 10. And because that one is white, we get to upgrade all of the others. By the way, in case you're wondering how I know that, because at the fire at a hex example on page 21, it actually says that he upgraded from the, see it says allows player to change his fire type from small arms red to the better high explosives. So, which is yellow, but in this case, white is either high explosives or armor piercing. We're choosing high explosives. So, we have 10 high explosives that we are shooting at him. Now, since he's in column mode, the rules say that we get to choose, the attacker gets to choose the defense that we're going to use for that. So, let's see, attacker's fire value, returning units to play, concentrated fire as well. Okay, so we get to choose what defense we want to use. Now, I don't believe you can modify this. In other words, this is sort of hard-coded in there, so we do have to have a +3 on the defense for his defense. So he does have a leader, but the leader doesn't have any defensive modifiers. And we have a +1 to our fire rating. And then we have a 0. So we're going to choose the 0 because it's not printed. So we're going to choose a 0 for the defensive modifier. And then we have a +3. So our 10 is going to be 10 firepower minus 3, which equals 7. And so now that's one of the confusing parts about the direct or the fire modifier. I'm not sure if the +3 means that I get +3 on my direct fire modifier, or because they're charging, they get +3 on defense, and therefore it reduces my 10 to 7. Either way, if I roll, so if I add 3, that would be 13. If I subtract 3, so I'm going to assume that I'm adding 3 to my fire modifier because they're charging. Again, a lot of these things are kind of confusing on this, so let's say we're adding 3 instead of subtracting 3 because they are charging, because we do have many instances of a defense modifier being a +1, for example, on this guy, and then we have a defensive modifier of like -1 on some of the other ones. So you have a +1 here, you have a +1 there, because he's in column mode. If he was not in column mode, some of these times it's like a -1. So again, I'm not really sure. So it's either 13 for my fire modifier, or it's going to be 7. Either way, I'm going to roll for the USA and see what it is. So that is a 6. So either way, I hit. So when you roll, my understanding is the dice roll, and the reason I say this is because of the fire example in here. It's one of those games to where it sure would be nice to actually have a video of somebody else sort of explaining everything, but we have a firing at a hex example, and within that, at the bottom, it does say the American player must roll a 3, 2, or 1, or 0. In other words, when you roll, you have to roll your fire modifier or less. So it says a 4 or more is a miss if you rolled a 3 or 2, etc. If he rolled a 1, the result would be DGR. Now, because it says that, that sounds like the dice roll is actually going to be the modifier that you use for the CRT instead of your fire rating. So it doesn't seem like you're using your fire rating, it seems like you're using your dice modifier. And I say that as well because the CRT is quite simple, and it covers a 0, which would be your 10 roll, all the way up to an 8, and the rules say that a 9 is always a miss. So it seems like your dice roll is going to be what you look up here. A 9 is a miss, therefore it's excluded, and it has 1 through 0, which is what we need. All right, so again, we rolled a 6. So a 6 for high explosive, again, we could get high explosive armor piercing, we're going to do high explosive, is 4 DG plus a rout. So we got 4 DG off of this Japanese stack. And because they're in column mode, we got to choose the defense, and that again is on the firing at a hex example on page 21. So now that we hit them, we got a 4 DGR. So in the Gyokusai, I hope I'm pronouncing that correctly, the Gyokusai rules state that all DGs that are caused by any means other than indirect fire must be converted to loses. That's not me, that's the book, to losses as above. Losses from DGs caused by indirect fire, etc., etc. So these are converted to losses. Now, interestingly enough, we have a bonsai charge, and within the bonsai charge, it says all DGs incurred in the charge must be converted to whole unit losses or loses. That applies to American Opportunity Fire as well as a DG and the assault itself. So now it says the number of Japanese unit must be eliminated. So basically it's incurred and must half the number, round up. Now this is on a bonsai charge when you lose or when you get a DG loss. So I'm not sure if you have the unit loss when you have a indirect fire, or sorry, when you have a opportunity fire. As per this paragraph here, all DGs must be converted to losses as above. So I'm not sure if that's one loss or half loss. So I guess today we're going to go for half loss. So if they lose 4 DG, we're going to say that we cut that in half and they lose 2 units. So we have a leader, and then we have another unit, and then we have another unit. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to choose what units that I kill off, which is going to be the leader and then the other leader. So we have eliminated 2 units, and that leaves 1 unit, which looks like a communication officer. He has a +1 and a 5 movement. Now the Gyokusai rules say that you cannot move around, or sorry, you cannot flip, and it doesn't do this guy any good to flip either anyway because he has a 0 attack power. So pretty much eliminated this guy's effort with this 1 opportunity fire. Now we're going to go ahead and mark ourselves as no opportunity fire and put our Gyokusai marker back on this and just put sort of a little marker that says that this guy has gone. Sorry, a sniff, I have a cold. Alright, let's do the next unit. So the next unit is not a bonsai, he's a Gyokusai. Turn it upside down here. Alright, so he's going to do the death charge. Let's look at this stack. We have a supply unit, we have a medical unit, and then we have 2 more units here. So this setup was in the book as per, believe this is correct. But again, I'm missing chits, so it's a folly of the imagination on the wargaming table today. I hope you like this folly. because it sure is entertaining to me, now that I actually understand the rules a bit better than yesterday. Alright, so he's going to charge. He could charge, obviously, here or here. Let's assume he's going to charge into here. Now, this opens up quite a bit of opportunity fire. So let's look at our terrain here. We have a clear shot from there. We have a clear shot, which is called the fire zone, by the way, in that. Oh, by the way, I forgot to use concentrated fire. If you are on deployed, you can add concentrated fire, which gives you a +1. So definitely going to do that on the rest of these. So let's look at this stack here. We do have blocking terrain here. So this particular unit is not going to be able to attack. But this, and this will be able to do opportunity fire, which is going to wipe out him pretty hardcore. So this white with the bullet means sustained fire, which basically means if this guy's coming, let's say he's swimming, he comes up here, he can opportunity fire. If he comes over here, he can opportunity fire again because he has sustained fire. If you don't have that marker, then once you do opportunity fire, you have to put a marker on that says you already got your chance. Alright, so let's go ahead and process this guy's opportunity fire. So again, he is in a good terrain here, and he has foxholes, which is a -1 on the defense. I know that's confusing, but that means that their firepower gets -1. Let's see what else we got. So we got a heavy machine gun. We have a leader, which again, because it's not 0700 yet, the leader is going to be negligible. And we have an HQ, which gives us a 2 attack. And then we have a B unit, which gives us a 4 attack. So we have 4 plus 2. Now that's small arms. Leader's negligible, so we have 6 small arms plus 1 small arm. So we have 7 total attack. So let's look at the terrain that we have over here, because we forgot to do terrain over here. I'm sorry. Everyone is going to yell at me that doing the terrain, I forgot to do the terrain over there. I'm sorry, I forgot terrain. Don't hate me. Don't kill me. Okay, so again we have 4 plus 2 plus 1, that's 7 small arms. Terrain modifier is beach, which is no modifier. And now we have, let's see, so since they're in column mode, I get to choose their defense, and I'm going to choose the +1 defense, because the +1 defense gives me +1 firepower. So instead of 7 here, I'm going to get 8. So I now have 8 from this opportunity fire. So now I have 8 firepower, and again I'm confused about the +3. Let's go and let's again make up a product of our imagination and just say it's +3, so 8 would be 11. So basically if I roll anything, I hit them. So again, we're just sort of winging it because I'm confused with this firepower thing. If you have any guidance, please let me know if that +3, if that means that they get a -3 on defense because they're charging. I guess that makes sense. But if they're really charging and really motivated, maybe it's a -3. Again, I'm confused. Let's go with an 11. I know we're sort of waffling around on here. This game is confusing as shit. Alright, so we obviously rolled less than an 11. We rolled a 4. So we're good on that. So we get to hit them with opportunity fire over here. Let's go ahead and say that we fired. Alright, we opportunity fired. So we hit them with a 4. So let's look at small arms with a 4, which is a 2 DG, and a route check. So apparently in column mode with the Gyokusai, route check is negligible or ignored. So I believe that if we have that, we get 1 loss from their stack. So I don't want to do a loss of the supply or the medical. I would like to get this guy and have him be the loss. So I'm going to choose this guy for the loss. leave these other units on, and then process the fire from the remainder. Let's just leave this off for now. All right, so the next unit in line is going to be him. He has a line of direct fire. Now he is going to choose high explosive for the round, and we have a 4 and a 4, so that is an 8, 9, 10 high explosive, and we are going to choose to have concentrated fire, so that is going to be an 11. So we have an 11, and we're shooting at this guy, and we get a +1 again, and a +3, so it'd basically be, we're going to hit him. Let's see what we hit him with. We hit him with a 4 again. Apparently 4 is a popular number today. So we hit him with a 4. So again, we have a 4 is going to be a high explosive, is going to be a 3 DGR. I assume you round up, so that would be 2 unit losses. So don't want to lose that unit, don't want to lose that unit. Let's take this HQ unit as a loss, and let's take that as a loss. And that person has now opportunity fired. Alright, and lastly, we're going to have this guy opportunity fire. Should I or should I not? No, I'm not going to bother. He's not going to opportunity fire. I think that's a poor choice for him to go. Alright, so let's remove this. He is definitely already gone. So he is already gone. He is already gone, and he's gotten completely destroyed. Move the dice. Alright, so lastly, this is going to activate. What do we have here? We have a 0, we have a 3. The assault is the number of units instead of the firepower, so who cares? But we have quite a bit of beef in this particular stack. So we're going to Gyokusai over here. We have enough for, I believe that's 1. That is a town. A town is a 1. So that is a 1 for a town. And then he's going to go down here because he must continue to charge. He's going to go into clear terrain, which is going to be another 1. And then as he's moving, I get to opportunity fire. So I'm going to opportunity fire as he left this hex and went into this hex. We're going to process an opportunity fire from here because it's sustained fire. I assume that sustained fire means that the entire hex can continue to fire instead of just this weapon. I'm not really sure. I assume so. He can continue sustained fire. So we're going to process this again. So we have a 4, 2, and a 1, which is going to be a 7 small arms. And I believe that I can do concentrated fire because I am in formation. So we have a 7, and I guess we'll do the +3, and we'll choose the +1. So that's a +4, so that's an 11. So let's roll so that we hit. Are you serious? There's no way. Alright, so we hit with a 0. So 0 always hits. So 0 always hits, and it has a dedicated section over here. Now we are shooting small arms, so a 0 basically just gives us 1 DG and an S. An S is a suppressed. Let me see if suppressed affects Gyokusai, which I don't think it does, but let me double check. So I looked up the sustained fire rule on 861. They may continue to opportunity fire units unless they roll 7 or greater on their fire roll. And we did roll 7 or greater, we rolled a 10. So this support weapon is now considered broken. And since it's the only thing that has sustained fire, we're going to add a no opportunity fire on this. So he basically missed. So he basically missed, and that's going to resolve nothing over there for that hex. Over here is indirect fire, so let me look that up real quick as well. So I'm not sure if you can mix indirect fire with direct fire, I'm assuming no, the indirect fire rules are fairly specific, so we can roll a dice and see if our indirect fire actually hits. Let's see what we get. It has to be a 3 or less. And it is a 0, so a 0 always hits. Indirect fire has a lot of different rules with it. So an indirect fire of a 0 would be a DGS, which is a suppressed. Again, I don't think the Gyokusai can be suppressed, and indirect fire DGs do not cause a loss or a lose, as they say. It will instead just put a disorganized level on that particular stack. So this stack is now disorganized level 1. Alright, so now they are going to move, and I realize that this person needs to attack, and this person needs to attack, but we'll process that at the very end. Now they're going to move into here, which will get them in range of this particular unit and allow him to do an opportunity fire as well. We have a 4 plus 1, that's a 5. We have a 5. Doesn't make any sense. We have a 5, I guess, plus a 3, and we get to choose the defense, which is going to be a plus 1. So we have 5, 6. We're going to do concentrated fire 7, 8, 9, 10. And the disorganized level will come into play when they attack us. So if we roll anything, basically, we hit them with that particular unit, and they are attacking us. So we rolled a 7. So 7 is from direct fire. We did add the concentrated fire. And so we do have the bonus here of a choosing between armor piercing, high explosive. We'll do high explosive. A 7 is going to be a 4 DGR right here in the yellow. 4 DGR, which is going to be a route check, and 4 DG. Rounded down, that'll be 2 DG, so we get to kill off 2 units out of this monster stack that's about to attack us. So let's look at what we have to choose from real quick. I don't want to kill off that unit, the engineers. We have a 2 that we could kill off, and we have a 3. And then we have a 3, and no U.S. entry. Oops, that stays up there. So we're going to cut off the 3, and then we're going to cut off the other 3. It's one of my misprinted counters. And we're going to put all of that down here, and then restack the Gyokusai with the disorganized. Alright, so now the Japanese will be attacking us. So they are doing an assault. So let's remove these, and let's process all of the assaults. Alright, so assaults do not use firepower counters, they instead use the number of men. So we have a 1-man assault right here going, and I'm going to remove the opportunity fire. They're done moving. Make it easier on me. Alright, so we have 1, 2, 3, and they're attacking with 1. Now we are in a foxhole, but doing an assault seems to be a bit different. We do have a lot of terrain advantages as well. So let's see here. Oh, we forgot to do the terrain again. Terrain modifiers over here, but that's negligible because that's clear. Alright, so we're now doing the assault action. We have 1 versus a ton. So now in terrain, remember that we are behind a steep slope and we on rocky. So if you look, no, not the movie with Sylvester Stallone. So if you look at Rocky, we have a -2 on their assault. And then if you look at steep slope, we have another -2 on their assault. Applied modifier if fired across a hex side. Okay, so assault modifiers, there's quite a few. So the odds of the assault. So we are on 1 to 3 or less. That's -5. And let's see. Indirect fire unit, no. the lowest troop quality value of any of the assaulting units. So they get a troop quality check, and we have a +3 here for troop quality, and they get a -1 troop quality. So that's a 2 troop, well, it says from any unit. So we'll just use, well, that's not a unit. What? The lowest troop quality value of any assaulting units. So I get the lowest troop quality value, which is going to be a -1. So they're -1. So now they're -6. That is the lowest troop quality value. They have no tanks or anything like that. The troop quality on the prepared assault marker, already did that. Okay, so they're -6. The defending player adds up all of his values. Terrain defense value, that's going to be 4 because we have steep slope and we have rocky, so we have 4. The defense value of any of one unit subtracted. So we have a defense value, we can choose the defense value of one unit, which is 2 minus that. So let's see. It's -2 for the leader. We have 0. We have 0. So we're going to choose 0 unless it forces us to do a particular number. The defense value of one unit is subtracted. If any are in column, the assaulting player may choose no. The defender may choose one unit. I chose the 0. Alright, so I chose the 0. No tanks defending. Troop quality, lowest troop quality value of any defending units. So basically we're going to end up with this massive number that's going to eliminate them because any DGs are converted to losses, and this is a massive number of DGs. So they basically lose this unit, and they have a nice day. So that is the end of that hex. Alright, let's process this assault. So here we have 1. So now we have a +1 for the defense. That's going to be theirs. And then their weapon jammed. So they have a +1 on the defense there. And they have a +2 troop quality. And they have a 5 troop quality. That is quite a bit. Is that legit? Is that a 5 troop quality? Okay. Alright, so they're assaulting 3 units. Again, that'll be -5. Assault modifiers 1 to 3 would be a -5. The troop quality on the prepared assault marker. So now they're -5 +1. Or no, -1 for the troop quality being -1. So they're now -6. So look at my terrain values. So we have -6, foxhole -7, and we don't really have any terrain values. So they're -7 on this assault, which again is terrible. So that is pretty much going to wipe out this unit here and the Gyokusai marker because they suffered those amount of DGs. So we should be okay at this point. Now the final assault, the bonsai assault, is going to be from this particular hex here, and he's going to attack this guy. So let's look at terrain real quick. We have a steep slope -2. We have a foxhole -1. We have a rocky, which -2. So we have -5. -5 on that for our advantage. So let's look at their assault. They have 2 units on the assault, and they're attacking 1 unit. So it's 2 to 1 on this particular assault. Please move over, Jesus. Alright, so let's look at the bonsai assault for 2 to 1. 2 to 1 is going to be a -1. Odds of an assault form a ratio. Assault units by the number of defending units. The lowest whole number, add or subtract the number of the assaulting player die roll. Alright. So basically that is a -1. So let's see, troop quality marker on the prepared assault, no. Stats marker on the assaulting units, troop quality. Leader troop quality value. So we have a leader troop quality value. Do we have any leaders in here? We do not. So let's see. They're in column mode, so we have a +3 troop quality. +3 troop quality means it's now a 2, so they're not a negative number anymore. Friendly unit, fire unit fired earlier in sequence, no. Lowest troop quality value. Alright, so it's going to be a 2. They currently have a 2. So the defending player, terrain defense value, so they have a 2. I have a -5. Defense value of 1 unit is subtracted. Only have 1 unit. He has no defensive value, so that is a 0. Yeah. So that is a 0. So he's now at a 2 minus 5. He's now at a -3. Leader troop quality value, we don't have that. Lowest troop quality value, we don't have that. All right. So he is currently at a -3. Since it's not horrific, we will actually roll dice this time, since it's not just comically -6. So let's roll the dice and see what happens. Alright, so we rolled 2 dice. Now I have a 5, which makes 9. He had a 2, which makes 3. So he loses by 6 for this particular assault, if I'm reading this correctly. He loses by 6, any DGs get converted to a loss, so he loses 3 units. So basically he is wiped out on this particular assault. I believe that's how assault works, which wipes out that, and that means that the Americans win. Again, this is a new game. I don't have all the chits. Sort of imaginary scenario here that I had to sort of make up. But it's sort of fun just playing really quick through here. Yeah, the Japanese got wiped out really fast. They had a lot of beefy units, a lot of beefy power going there. So, again, I believe I butchered a few things on here, but this is a learn through, and it's good to get this to the table, and hopefully Compass Games has shipped my replacement counter so I can actually get a real game going soon. So if you like this butchering of Saipan, the Bloody Rock, please let me know. Leave a like. I would appreciate it. And let me know any of the probably 10,000 egregious errors that I committed during this learn through. Thank you for watching.